In the year 2026, the greatest and most invisible prison ever constructed by human hands is not made of cold iron bars, electric fences, or high stone walls. It is built from the desperate, suffocating, and almost pathological need to fit in and be understood by the unthinking masses. We are currently living in a vast social architecture that has been meticulously designed to punish the outlier, to silence the visionary, and to reward the mediocre at every turn. The collective voice of the world screams at you from every screen and every street corner, demanding that you shorten your natural stride so that you may walk at the same uninspired pace as the average man. But today, in the 45th chapter of the Timeless Wisdom Archives, we are decoding the divine architecture of the outsider and the sacred geometry of the misfit. We are finally learning that the persistent feeling of not belonging, that sharp, aching sense of being a total stranger in your own era, is not a defect of your character or a failure of your personality. It is the primary evidence of your internal sovereignty and the birth of your true freedom. In the year 2026, the global machine feeds on uniformity. It requires you to be predictable, easily categorized, and small enough to be digested by the shallow algorithms of public opinion. But a soul that refuses to fit into the pre-carved slots of society is a soul that cannot be colonized. Christopher is here to tell you that your isolation is not a tragedy to be mourned, it is a sanctuary to be protected. It is the silent laboratory where your true self is being forged away from the corrosive, rusting influence of the crowd. The masses do not hate you because you are different, they hate you because your difference serves as a cold, unblinking mirror to their own profound cowardice. Analyze the alchemy of the outsider with me with a calm and penetrating gaze, and look far beyond the surface of your temporary loneliness to find the hidden gold of your absolute autonomy. In the year 2026, most people are utterly terrified of the heavy silence that inevitably comes when the crowd stops cheering and the screens go dark. They fear that silence because, in the vacuum of noise, they are forced to meet the hollow emptiness of their own borrowed souls. They choose to fit in not because they love the crowd, but because they lack the internal resources to stand alone for even a single hour. But you, the one who has always felt like a ghost at the feast and a spectator in the theater of the world, have developed a psychological muscle that the common man does not even know exists, the muscle of self-validation. When you do not fit in, you are forced by necessity to build your own foundation, to light your own internal fire, and to write your own private laws of existence. In the year 2026, this radical independence makes you a ghost in the machine, untraceable by their metrics, unbuyable by their bribes, and unbreakable by their threats. Think of the great masters who shaped the very history we inhabit, the philosophers who died in exile, the creators who were mocked by their peers, and the visionaries who stood alone on the edge of the world. None of them were comfortable in the rooms of the average. They were the ones standing by the window, looking at a horizon that no one else had the courage to see. Your inability to blend into the gray, lifeless background of the modern world is not your weakness, it is your greatest strategic advantage in the year 2026. In the third layer of this transmission, we must discuss the death of the mask, and the rebirth of the authentic self. In the year 2026, everyone is performing a role, every word spoken in public is a calculated post, every smile is a curated image for an invisible audience, and every opinion is a script borrowed from the loudest voice in the room. The outsider is the only individual who has stopped performing because he realized long ago that the audience is not worth the price of his eternal soul. When you finally accept that you will never truly fit into the narrow boxes of the world, a heavy, ancient weight falls from your shoulders. You are no longer a slave to the fluctuating moods of the public or the cruel, petty judgments of the mediocre. Christopher wants you to understand that belonging is often a transaction where you trade your authenticity for a false, fragile sense of security. But in the year 2026, there is no real security in the crowd, there is only a shared, blind direction toward the edge of a cliff. By standing apart, you reclaim your original vision. You become the observer who can see the game for exactly what it is, a distraction from the truth. The world may call you strange, they may call you cold, or they may call you distant, but in reality, you are simply centered. You have found the still point in a turning, chaotic world. Your difference is the perimeter of your mental fortress. Every time someone tells you that you are not like the others, they are inadvertently handing you the keys to your own private kingdom. In the year 2026, your strangeness is your armor, and your solitude is the throne from which you rule your own internal destiny. As we move deeper into the 45th chapter, let us celebrate the power of the misfit as a tool for total liberation. In the year 2026, the most dangerous and powerful person in any room is the one who has absolutely nothing to prove to people he does not respect. Most individuals are driven by a primal, shaking fear of being cast out of the social circle, but the true outsider has already lived in the wilderness and found it to be a paradise of absolute clarity. You cannot threaten a man with exile if he has already made the desert his primary home. This is the ultimate freedom that the systems of the year 2026 try to hide from you through constant noise and social pressure. The machine wants you to be desperate for inclusion so that it can dictate the terms of your survival and your thought. But when you embrace your status as an outsider, you become the one who dictates the terms of the engagement. You choose who is allowed to enter your circle, you choose which thoughts are allowed to take root in your mind, and you choose which battles are worth your divine, limited energy. In the year 2026, focused attention is the most precious resource on earth, and the outsider has the most of it because he does not waste his life on the endless, exhausting maintenance of a social image. You are finally free to study the deep mysteries, to build lasting empires of thought, and to find the eternal truths while the rest of the world is busy arguing over shadows on a wall. Your lack of belonging is not a wall that keeps you in, it is a bridge that leads you to a higher state of consciousness that the masses will never, ever experience. We are now sealing this 45th chapter of the Timeless Wisdom Archives with a final, unyielding, and sovereign decree for the year 2026. Your value is not determined by the number of hands that reach out to touch you in the dark, but by the depth of the silence you can inhabit without a single trace of fear. Do not look for your reflection in the eyes of the blind, and do not seek the approval of those who have already surrendered their own will to the collective machine. You were born to be a sovereign exception, a unique and powerful frequency in a world of static noise. As you walk through the chaos and the manufactured outrage of the year 2026, remember that the lion does not lose a single moment of sleep over the opinions of the sheep, and the ancient mountain does not ask the wind for permission to stand tall against the storm. This is Christopher, speaking from the silent heart of the Eternal Archives, reminding you that your path was never meant to be crowded, it was always meant to be yours and yours alone. Stand tall in your difference, be fiercely proud of your isolation, and never apologize for carrying a light that the darkness cannot comprehend. The strings have been cut, the masks have been burned, and the kingdom of your mind is finally at peace with itself. Stay different. Stay detached from the trivial. Stay eternally wise in a world that is desperate for you to be ordinary and forgettable. Christopher, out.